Hello and welcome to the start of another session where Scott has to record a bunch of videos in a very short period of time, having done pretty much no prep work. Because we have got a very colicky baby, and on top of that, we all got sick with something. Not COVID, maybe the flu or something, including the baby, the colicky baby. So we have not really been sleeping, and this is kind of my only chance to get a 2-hour window, well, maybe 2 hours, we will see, to record these things. Oof. So what I'm doing is in this video, we'll see if we can knock out like 2 or 3 of these videos in whatever window I get. What I'm going to do in this one is a blind tasting of some offerings from my Reddit friend Sjyort. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, who very kindly sent me a bunch of rum samples. I will get to them at some point before the end of eternity. So because there were so many rum samples, I'm guessing these might be rums too, but I'm not entirely sure. We shall find out. So these have been open and airing out for about like 3 hours now. I kind of got distracted after opening them for reasons, baby reasons. So we're going to sort of go through these. And again, as usual, you know what is in these 2 bottles because it's up there in the title and in the description, wherever they may be, in whatever app or whatever you're using to view this. I have no idea what these are. I'm going to try to make a guess at it. And I'm going to give them a score, totally blind. And the fun of this isn't necessarily whether I get them right. I mean, it's great if I do because that's a win for me. But also just how much do I like these? How good do I think I am? Having no idea, of how much they cost, what they are at all, and also just my impressions of. So if these happen to be Baijiu or something, and I think they're rums, that tells you something about the kind of sort of Baijiu that they are. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, enough of my chatter. Let's get into these. So Sjyort Mystery Number 1. I've been told I can just peel off the tape here for my reveal. All right. So a little bit of an amber tint to this. Okay, on first encounter, I'm picking up a lot of fresh, pretty raw American oak. My first grokking of this is that it smells a lot like American whiskey that's been in a new charred white oak barrel at some point for some length of time. That's kind of what I'm getting. Doesn't mean it's not a rum, but that's sort of my initial impression. Yeah, so I'm getting, vanilla, obviously, some charred, almost like charred tree bark kinds of notes. A little dried cherry in there, which is normal. I mean, these are not exciting notes for, so on initial contact, I'm suspecting this is a bourbon of some sort. Could be a rye. I don't think it's a wheater. Nothing is initially giving that away. Okay, so the cherry thing. There's a little bit of an herbaceousness to this. It's a little vague, a little hard to pick out. This is not especially nippy on the nose, but it could just be it's not manifesting. This could be 70% alcohol, and I wouldn't know it until I start sipping. But on the nose, it's not particularly, showing a lot of alcohol. A little bit of nuttiness coming through, some like toasted nutshells happening. Some faint kind of honey notes, really intermingling with the vanilla. Some like burned corn, toasted corn, so sort of street elote. But you haven't added the sort of gross cheese and stuff on top of it yet. And it's hard to pull apart that vegetal note. It's not quite dill. It's a little bit cleaner than that. It's like just maybe some dried parsley, basil that you've had in your cabinet for like 2 years, and now you're just now breaking them out. But it's really, those are really sort of running into the nuttiness and the sort of burned tree bark stuff. Really, this is smelling like kind of mainstream, big producer bourbon. I would think possibly with a slightly higher rye content, but I'm not sure about that. Let me think about it. So, but if this turns out to be, Beam, even Heaven Hill, although not getting a sort of as pronounced a sort of like autumn leaves note as I expect from Heaven Hill. Yeah, Beam could be Four Roses maybe, or one of the recipes. That kind of thing. And there's nothing in this that is weird enough to let me think it's craft. I mean, it could be one of the bigger distilleries that's kind of new. I'm not familiar enough with Wilderness Trail and Castle and Key to suspect it's one of those guys. Although I did have a Castle and Key recently that was sort of throwing me bean notes, so this could be one of them. All right, that's it for the nose right now. I'll add a little bit of water after I'm done with the palate. We'll see how it reacts. Still kind of getting over my cold, so hopefully that won't affect this too much. Interesting. Yeah, quite a kind of sweet and spicy arrival. There is a little bit of heat on this, but it's not that much. This feels like it's maybe reaching up into the mid 50s, but not a whole lot higher. So sweet and spicy, kind of a fullish mouthfeel, actually. There's a little bit of that herbaceous thing going on. So, by the way, nothing at this point is making me question my initial grok that this is American whiskey that's seen the inside of a charred new oak barrel at some point. I'm not totally convinced this is a bourbon, though. Yeah. Lots of sweety vanilla notes, toasted marshmallow, that kind of burned, the like burned tree bark note. The honey thing is back. And there is a little bit of vegetal action going on. A little asparagus, a little bit of dill, more pronounced than on the palate, which is pushing me towards thinking maybe this is a rye, but it's not so vegetal that I'm thinking MGP. Usually with MGP, even with there's kind of a giveaway with MGP, right? It's the sort of dynamic interplay between the really green notes and also the really sort of desserty confectionery notes, and this is much more integrated than I tend to think of MGP being. Doesn't mean that I'm wrong, but that's not the sort of direction my palate is taking me right now. Still a little bit of cherry in there. This has some age on it, not a lot, but I would expect this to be, 4 to 6 years old, somewhere in there. I don't think this is older than 8. I would be, I'd be really shocked if this was a rum, for one thing, but I would be a little bit surprised if this was, like 10, 12 years old. It isn't sending me those notes. It's nice. It's clean. It's well woven together. Sweet, spicy, a little bit of green. This is good. It's the big question for me is well, how high is the rye content in this? Again, nothing is suggesting wheater about this. I'm not getting the sort of sour notes, the orangey notes I sometimes get in wheaters. I'm not getting the minty notes. That's not happening, so I'm ruling that out. So I think this is either a bourbon with a highish rye content, or just a rye of some sort. All right, let's give this some water. See if that one squirt is enough to calm it down. If it is, that tells me this is reasonably low proof. Oh, can go a squirt more, at least. All right, that's 2. Needs another one. 3. And the water is bringing out the oak a lot more. This may actually be an 8-year-old or something. We're pretty close. I'm going to give it another half squirt and leave it at that. This is pretty close to tame, though. I don't know. It's still pretty spicy. Still arrives with a little bit of alcohol heat, but I'm afraid to take it lower right now, so we'll stop at 3.5. And come back to it in a minute. Meanwhile, we will move on to mystery number 2, which I'm excited about because this one has basically no color. So it could be Baijiu, could be agave, some super expensive mezcal. I mean, it could be rum, right? Who knows? Could be vodka. God help me. All right, let's see what we got on here. Okay, so this, it's not an especially big pronounced nose, but what I'm getting is alcohol. I'm getting, highly distilled, refined, in multi-column industrial distillate, and that's the main thing. It's just kind of rough alcohol mixed with kind of a whipped cream sort of thing, and that's like 98% of what it is there. So I mean, this makes it a little bit hard to guess because whatever this was distilled from, it's gone. Like this could have started from cane, molasses, grains, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Like this, it's all gone at this point. We just got alcohol. And it's not particularly nice alcohol either. This is not a very clean example, put it that way. There's a little bit of a... Oh God, what is that? So I can't remember who it was, but someone on the aficionado Discord used the tasting note of, the plaster you used to have to bite into when you went to the orthodontist? Remember that smell and taste? That's kind of what I'm getting on the nose of this, along with just the alcohol. Oh, yeah. It's kind of medicinal and not nice at all. I'm getting a little hint of vanilla, which makes me think this is kind of Cuban-style, been aged in some kind of oak briefly and then kind of filtered, de-aged. I don't think it's Cuban, though. I don't think the Cubans would come up with something that, smells like this. Havana Club 3 actually smells okay. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's way better than this, at least on the nose. Maybe it'll redeem itself on the palate. Let us see. Oh. Oh no. Kind of the same thing, just rough industrial ethanol mixed with kind of whipped cream, that kind of medicinal note in there, the orthodontist plastery thing. And that little hint of vanilla. Oh, fuck. That little hint of vanilla, which makes me think this is not vodka. This is not, I don't know, God knows what else. This is a sort of de-aged Cuban-style rum. It is coming across hot, but at the same time, I don't think it actually is that hot. Yeah, I think it's just the nature of the distillation. It feels hotter than it is. I would suspect this is 40% alcohol, just knowing the style. But I think it's coming across hotter than that. Or anyway, it is coming. Well, you know what? We'll see. I don't like this, but I'm going to come back to it. Let's give it a squirt of water, see how it reacts, see what kind of monsters we bring out with a squirt of water. And if it drowns, that tells us it was at 40%, right? You know, this is not drowning, actually. So now I'm questioning myself. I think this is higher proof than 40%, which makes me wonder what this is. Give us another squirt. It's actually holding together reasonably well. Yeah, I am not fond of this. Okay, if this turns out to be like a 151 or something, and I wasn't picking it up on the initial palate, like that says something too, right? Like this was, maybe that's to this thing's advantage that you can probably get trashed on it for not too much money and without noticing it. In fact, now I'm starting to think that's what this is. Oh God, it's not good though. Okay, one more squirt. This is way stronger than I thought it was. All right, back to the mystery number one then. Sjyort may be trying to kill me. I'm not entirely sure. All right, back to sample number one. We'll see if my palate is completely wrecked. All right, on the nose. Aha. So water, and I added a lot of water, right? I added like 3 squirts, 3.5. Water brings out, well, some leafy notes that might indicate Heaven Hill, actually. But also there's more sort of green hints on this, little like toasted Brussels sprouts. Little more wood sugars coming out, a little more kind of cherry liqueur kind of thing. Yeah, so now I'm really beginning to think this might be a rye. I'm going to be totally embarrassed when this is revealed and it's turned out to be like something from Canada, or God help, I will resign my commission if this is a rum. I do think number 2 is a rum, but I don't think this one is. All right, it's a nice nose. It's showing, and which makes me think that maybe my initial call of say 4 to 6 years old, maybe 8 at the most, is might be right, because ryes tend to show more maturity at younger ages. Okay, on the palate with this. Yeah, and at 3.5 squirts, this is kind of just feeling like it's on the thinner side of what I would be comfortable drinking. So I am guessing the proof on this would be somewhere in the mid 50s. I don't think it's getting as high as the 60s, but I think it's higher than say 40%. I'm sorry, 45. Yeah, I would say mid 50s somewhere. there's a delicacy to this that I really like. Yeah, kind of dried cherry, kirsch as well. Those kind of slightly green notes, the asparagus, the Brussels sprouts, intermingling with some, kind of brown sugary notes. It's confected. It's nice. Yeah, this is good. I like this. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make my guess. I'm going to make my guesses, and I'm going to stick by them. And when you're wrong, when I am wrong, you can laugh at me. Based on how this is behaving, I'm guessing this is either a kind of, as they say, barely legal rye pushing, 51% or maybe a little bit lower. So, what's the upper level to Rittenhouse? Pikesville, is that right? Could be Pikesville. Heaven Hill could be Knob Creek. Could, it's that kind of, Beam Heaven Hill sort of style I'm thinking about. Maybe one of those two. Could be like Wilderness Trail too, one of the new guys. I don't really know. I don't think this is a 95.5 from MGP. Not out of the possibility, but it's not coming across like that. I'm getting more corn, enough corn notes that I think there's a fair dose of corn in here. I think it's maybe about around 55% alcohol, and I'm going to guess 6 years old. And yeah, that's about all I got. Let's leave it at that. Move back to mystery number 2. God help me. So water is really bringing out kind of the sickly sweet thing that I don't like very much. I do think this is a rum. I do think this is some kind of rum made in a Cuban style. So aged briefly in oak and then kind of de-aged. I think it's a 151. Well, I should try the palate before I start making my guesses, but yeah. It gets more sickly sweet. Some of the kind of off notes, the medicinal notes kind of develop a little bit. There's a little bit of like a cardboardy thing coming through now. Yeah, this is not great. All right, on the palate. Kind of sickly sweet mixed with ethanol. Ooh. And yeah, the sort of medicinal notes. A little, kind of weird ethanol bitterness. This is not my favorite. So yeah, I missed the strength on this when I was trying it just neat, which tells you something. Maybe it tells you more about my palate than about this, but it does tell you something. All right, what can I say about this? I think it's a rum. I think it's a 151, and it's made in the Cuban style. I don't think it's from Cuba. I think something from Cuba would have more character. This has both, a dearth of character and some characteristics I don't like, which is a combination that is rare and unfortunate. At the same time, okay, if you can get this for like in like a jug that costs, $12, I accept that. That's, great. More power to you. Like, you do what you got to do. If it's cheap, then that's okay. This can do its. You can find probably way worse than this to drown in, I don't know, daiquiris or that kind of thing. So it could be Puerto Rico could be U.S. Virgin Islands. Could be Latin America, even. Actually, could be Guyana. Diamond makes a 151. But I actually have a bottle of that, and I remember it being like cleaner than this one is. So, I mean, the nature of the distillation here and the production means that it's really hard to nail down where it's from. Ooh. Yeah, so it could be from, any of those places I've just named that makes kind of Cuban Latin style rum. But I'm going to guess Puerto Rico somewhere, maybe, and, 151 off a giant multi-column industrial still. And that's my guess. So let's do the reveals. Start with mystery number one. Again, I thought this was maybe a barely legal rye or a really high rye bourbon. 55% alcohol. Okay, price-wise, let's talk about prices for a minute. If you can get this for $30, I would be very happy. I would say, go, especially if it's in mid-20s. I don't think it is. If it's in mid-20s, I am ecstatic. Go buy this now. But $30 would be great. I think this is probably pricier than that. I would think mid-30s ish, maybe 40. If it's 40, I'm a little score-wise, I should give these scores. Let me try this one more time. Yeah, I like mystery number one. I'm going to give mystery number one like 84 points. It's good. And mystery number two, God help me, not high. I mean, it's not actively making me retch, so that it gets points just for that. I'm going to give this 39 points. I don't know. It's really hard to score things when you're going this far down the scale. All right, let's see what we got. Mystery number one. Thought it was maybe a low rye or a high rye bourbon. We have got. Come on. Okay, there's nothing. Oh, wait, there's something underneath this. It is. Oh, son of a bitch. Clément Très Vieux, American Oak Agricole Rum. Don't know the further details on this. Maybe if I can get them, I will put them down below. All right. I've made videos in the past about how you can be stumped by into thinking, an American oak aged agricole rums can behave in blinds a lot like bourbons and ryes. Well, especially bourbons. And man, this is showing like a bourbon. Or a rye. Yeah, I'm not calling rum on this. I was caught. Sjyort got me. Good job. So, if you're looking to stump... Oh, but I did get the strength about right. This is 56.6% alcohol. I said 55. That's within, 2 degrees? That's not bad. A lot of American oak on this. I don't know if it was virgin or not. I don't know any details on this, actually. I'll put them below. But yeah, if you want to stump your friends in a bourbon blind, get a bottle of this. Actually, and I had like the scenario in which I was talking about this was actually an American oak aged Clément. So there you go. I messed that one up. I whiffed, as they say. Okay, and mystery number two. I think this is 151, Cuban style, possibly Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands. Aha! No, I just reviewed this. And I gave it a much lower score than this. Takamaka, Seychelles. 69% alcohol. I gave this a 39. All right, I just scored this somewhere in the like I feel like the 70s before. So we got like a 40-point swing from where it was. Here's the thing though, like I remember when I opened my bottle of this, I'm justifying my total failure in this video now, but let me justify myself. I remember when I initially opened the Takamaka, I did have this kind of reaction. I was like, just holy crap, this is just column distilled garbage. And it took a while. It took a lot of air in the bottle actually for me to kind of get to those sort of hidden notes from the pot distillate. It took a while for this stuff to open up. Did I mention that in the video? I'm not sure. But in any case, this is around where I was scoring it when I first opened the bottle. I was like, oh God. So, yeah. It did gain about, 40 odd points on me in the space of time, I guess. Or I'm just terrible at doing blinds. Who knows? All right, so there we are. These actually did turn out to be rums. So Clément Très Vieux, American Oak, 56.6% alcohol. I gave that an 84 out of 100. I would probably, that sounds like a kind of accurate score. And Takamaka Seychelles, 69, which I scored before in the low 70s. And I have now given this a 39 out of 100. Okay. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. This was entertaining. And cheers.